Isiah Thomas believes to this day that he was left off of the Dream Team because Jordan didn't want him on the team.
Yeah.
The way Jordan retells the story is also one more thing I want to touch about the Atlantic City trip during the playoffs with the Knicks. But so the way Jordan tells the story is Rod Thorne calls him, who I guess was the head of basketball operations, calls him. He goes, "Hey, we want you to be on the Dream Team. The pros are going to play." He goes, "Who's going to be on the team?" And apparently Rod Thorne goes, "The guy you're thinking of is not going to be on."
Right.
Mm-hmm. And the way that they shaped the story is that there are multiple players that had a problem with Isiah.
Yeah.
And they just didn't want to be with him for a few weeks if they didn't have to.
Yeah.
And I mean, I find it interesting that multiple players had a problem with Isiah and not Jordan. Jordan was just as competitive. I'm sure Jordan wanted to break motherfuckers' wills just as much. Maybe Isiah wasn't good enough for how annoying he was.
Yeah.
Where Jordan was, you just had to respect him. But it seemed to me, and it could be biased, again, we're watching a documentary, it seemed to me that could have been how it went down, that Isiah had soured his relationship with several of the players that would be on the team, and for the betterment of the team and the experience there, they're like, why don't we just take that one bad apple out? Everybody else gets along.
We talked about this a little bit on the Patreon. First of all, difference between Isiah and MJ. Isiah's team was physically brutal. Mm-hmm. Michael was a fucking mercenary killer, mentally, verbally destroy you asshole. Isiah was an asshole, and everybody behind him would hurt you. And it's like,
but that's not on Isiah.
It's not on Isiah, but he's the leader of that, and also probably fucked that whole team. There's no other Pistons on that team, except the one guy who probably could have vouched for him and got him on the team. The head coach of the fucking Dream Team is Chuck Daly. Also head coach of the Pistons.
So that's who was head coach.
So if it's just one guy.
No longer head coach.
Yeah, okay. Was head coach of the Pistons.
Yeah.
So if it's just one guy who seems to have a pretty good relationship with Mike, because I think he shook Mike's hand in 91. Mike's going to remember that, or 89, 90, whatever. Mike's going to remember that. Chuck could have gone to Mike and said, hey, man, IT, whatever. Let's have a conversation.
Question. Do you think that Chuck Daly's relationship with IT was soured?
Oh, because he got fired.
I mean, you don't think that IT could go to the organization? And maybe it's a different time. I think like we're looking at this documentary, and I think a lot of the questions we have come from a place of not understanding the power of athletes back then versus now. Mm-hmm. Athletes had way less power. The fact that Jordan couldn't get Reinsdorf to fire Krause is mind-boggling to me. Yeah. He really couldn't get it to happen. He had said, I'm going to get that guy fired, and then it didn't happen.
Right.
If LeBron wanted anybody fired, fired.
Anyone.
Simple as that. I mean, any star of any team could probably get a GM fired.
Any star.
Especially a star of like Michael Jordan's caliber. It's shocking.
You know what? And that's probably what changed the power from owners to players.
Maybe.
Because it's like...
It had happened, though.
You chose your executives over the players, and now you see how the Bulls have gone since he left.
Yo, that's great. This is what happens when you choose the GM over the player. The player leaves the fucking league twice when the league needs him.
Yeah.
We can't let that happen again.
Boom.
Yo, give them more leverage. And then that's what really fucked up a lot of organizations because they were putting in these sycophants instead of people that were willing to do the right thing. And sometimes when you need to do the right thing for a franchise, you're going to ruffle some fucking feathers.
Which also makes Phil that much more impressive, though. Like the fact that he's the guy that can do right by the team and reach the player on a level that helps him understand why it's right for the team.
So do you think Daly had an issue with Isiah, or at least wasn't that friendly with Isiah?
I think maybe there had been some strain. Maybe Isiah thought, maybe I don't personally dislike him, but maybe he's not the direction we need to go to win. I want to get back to the promised land.
Son, they're going to win no matter what. They know going in there they're going to win. It's not even a question.
I kind of think the players didn't respect IT as much. Because it's like, yes, he was nice, but I think he was
I thought you meant Dream Team, not Pistons.
I think he was only nice because the rest of his team would beat you up.
Jordan said...
Yeah, it was good guy, bad guy, good cop, bad cop.
Jordan said in the documentary he's the second best point guard behind Magic Johnson.
Yo, Jordan's honest. He's like, I respect his game. Everything's cool with him. The dude is one of the best players I've ever seen. He's the second best point guard outside of Magic Johnson, right? High praise.
Yeah.
But what does he say afterwards?
Basically, he's an asshole. A lot of guys didn't like playing with him, something like that.
Dude, I think people underestimate that. They're looking at this like a vacation, and you don't want to bring someone annoying on vacation. We all have people that are in our like friend groups that were like, do we really want to have them come?
And what do you need? What role is he going to play? Point guard? You got Magic. You got John Stockton.
Magic could play forward. Like that. Listen, you don't need Christian Laettner. You know what I'm saying? You don't need Chris Mullen. There are guys that you could move around.
Right.
Right? Like, we could look at the roster and be like, who's he going to replace? There are replaceable guys on the team.
Fair enough.
Right? That being said, if you're a douchebag and we got to put up with you this whole time, we got to have a little bickering, that's fucked up. And think about it. They didn't, and all the people on that team really bonded.
Yeah.
Like, big time bonded. All the stories that come out about the Dream Team are these, like, interesting relationships that were built. Like, Patrick Ewing and Larry Bird were, like, fucking kindred spirits.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they became, like, best friends on this trip, you know? And, like, all these cool relationships found. Obviously, Charles and Michael were close, but I think Michael really found someone who didn't care if he was famous or not.
Yeah.
Right? He just found someone who just didn't give a fuck enough that they could be, like, normal together.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be a whole section of this by itself.